Hi everyone, my name is Luis Gonzalez, and today I will be doing a presentation for the final project. Our final project is on digital forensics in the cloud, and as part of the final project, I decided to do a demo on the Azure chain of custody. So part of our group is Daniel, Abigail, and myself, and this is for the final project. So first, I wanted to go ahead and start by reviewing the document from Microsoft Azure regarding the chain of custody. So here we can see that we have a diagram, and in this diagram from Microsoft, they have three subscriptions: the Hub, Production, and the SOC subscription. In my lab, because I'm using a free account from Microsoft Azure, I broke it down into resource groups instead of subscriptions. But I created the same environment where I have a SOC resource group with its own VNet. There is a the hybrid Rumble worker, which is where we're gonna be. It's a virtual machine, a Windows virtual machine where we're gonna be running the scripts from. Then we also have the SOC key vault, which is where we're gonna be storing the hash values from the images. Um, As you can see here on the right, we have a container with a legal hold copy. That's the container that is going to be storing the evidence, and it's in the SOC storage account. There's also a file share, which is the script is going to temporarily copy the snapshots in there, and then we're going to be using that file share to create the hash for the snapshots. And then finally, those hashes are going to be saved uh, in the key vault that we just covered. And then down here we have our production resource group, and here we just have a virtual machine. It's an Ubuntu virtual machine. It has two hard disks and one OS disk, two data disks and one OS disk. So um, the workflow of this that Microsoft recommends, um, it's basically a couple of steps in which the script is going to log into the subscription. It's going to find and create the snapshots of all of them, the disks associated with the machine. Then it's going to copy those snapshots into an immutable blob storage and a temporary file share. So what's important about the immutable blob storage is that it needs to have a legal hold restriction, which it makes it, which it restricts users from editing the file or deleting it. And then in the file share, we're gonna use a hash function to calculate the hash value of the snapshot, and then we are going to copy those hash values into the SOC key vault. And then lastly, it's just a cleanup operation where we're just gonna clean up and erase the snapshots and then the snapshots that were saved to the file share. So if we take a look over here at the Azure portal, and you can see here that we have our production resource group, and in this production resource group, we have our virtual machine, which is the subject of the investigation. And then down here we have the SOC resource group, and here we have the SOC automation account, which is where we are going to be configuring the runbook worker, which is the automation tool from Azure to run the process, to run the scripts. We have our worker node, which is the VM that we use to jump into and run the scripts out of. And then, so looking over at the VM01, which is our target of our investigation, if we take a look at the disk here, I just want to point out that we have one OS disk. This disk is 30 gigs. And then we also have a data disk 0 and a data disk 1. So if we take a look, this script is the one that's provided by, that's associated with the Microsoft article. Um, this script, it's you can import it into the runbook to the runbook editor, and here you can make the edits to enter your information. But instead of using this script, I built my own. And so if we take a look at the one that I built, um, I like it more because it does a couple of things better. So we only have to provide it two parameters, and you're gonna see when we run the script, we have to provide it with the host name of the VM that's the subject of the investigation and a case number. And then everything else I already pre-configured it. But as you can see here, these are the only parameters that we have to supply the script. The rest are going to be automatically calculated. So the first step of this script is here, where this part of the code, what this part of the code is doing here is that it's going to look for any it's going to start looking for the data disks that are associated with the VM. Okay, so you can see that I'm here using a for loop, and then this for loop is looking because you could have more than one data disk or none. This next part of the code here is just looking for it's going to create the snapshot of the OS disk. And then here, excuse me, this is the main part of the program here. And then here, what we're doing in this step is, in this part of the code, is that um, we're doing steps two, 3, and 4, which is basically copying the snapshots. You can see here, there's a prompt. We're going to copy the snapshots. We're going to create the container with the legal hold restriction on it. Then it's going to run through a for loop of all the disks that were discovered earlier. And this is going to start copying it into the immutable blob storage, the container that we just created, the file share here. And then here we're going to calculate the hash value. Okay. And then lastly, it copies, and then lastly, in this step here, this is another part of the code that I added. Um, so what this part of the code here is doing is that it's actually logging into the Ubuntu machine, or not logging into the Ubuntu machine. It's running a script, okay, that it's on the worker node, but it gets passed down to the Ubuntu machine. And basically, what we're doing in this script is that we are doing a memory dump. Okay, so we get a memory dump of the machine as it is. That way, it could be analyzed along with the hard drives. Okay, and then this last step is just part of the last step from the workflow, which is just to clean up anything that is not required. Okay, so what we are going to do is jump into the worker node. Okay, give me 1 second. Okay, so in this, we're already in the worker node. Okay, so what I'm going to do here in this VM is that I'm just going to go ahead and run the script, and we're going to give it the values of VM01, which is the subject of our investigation, and then we're going to do case number, we're going to do 0001. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and start running the script, and I'm going to pause the video for a second because this does take some time, so to make it faster. All right, so that took some time, but now that the script is over, finished running, let's take a look at the results. So after running the script, quick recap, we provided it with a VM01, the subject of the investigation, case 001. So the first thing is that we tried signing in with the SOC automation account, which is the automation account that has the privileges to do all these processes. Next thing is we're gonna create we created the snapshots of VM01 case, and then it gives it a case ID, which is basically the virtual machine name and the case number. And then the first thing is it goes through an iteration where it finds all the data disk, found data disk 0, created the snapshot, found data disk 1, created the snapshot, and then OS disk, and then it creates a snapshot. So it tells you that it created 3 snapshots. The next thing is copying the snapshots and saving the hash values. Um, so we went ahead and we started by creating the container with the legal hold. After that, we started working with the individual snapshots. So it does the iteration 3 times or as many disks as we have. But basically, we copy the basic steps is that we copy the the disk to the legal hold container. After that, we copy it to the shared drive, which is mounted on the C drive which is mounted on this runbook worker. So we copy the snapshot there. We create the hash. We calculate the hash, and then we save it on the vault, on the key vault, and then we do the same process for the other 2 drives. The next thing is getting the memory dump and saving the hash. So we invoke a script that is saved locally on this runbook worker, but it gets ran on the Linux machine. And that Linux machine is basically just doing a memory dump and then uploading it to the shared drive. And then once it's there, it does the hash, it calculates the hash value for the memory dump, and then it saves it in the shared drive. Once it is in the shared drive, this machine then here it tells you that the script completed successfully. Then this machine is looking at the drive for those 2 outputs, and you can see that it found them here. And then after it finds them there, it adds the hash value to the key vault, and then lastly, it copies the memory dump to the case file. And the last step that we can see here is that it cleans up all of the snapshots. So it deletes the 3 snapshots, and then it also removes the the 3 it removes the case file from the shared drive, which has the snapshots that were saved there temporarily to do the hash, to calculate the hash, and then it removes the 2 memory dump related files. So if we go and we take a look at the portal now, okay. So if we start looking at the SOC automation account, the SOC storage account, we can see that we have a container here called legal hold, and then it has the case ID, which is just the VM name and the case number. And if we take a look at this, we can see that there's 4 files in here, and those 4 files are basically data disk 0, data disk 1, the OS disk snapshots, and then the memory dump. Okay, so if you try to delete one of these files, or if we try deleting it, you're gonna see that it's gonna give you an error, failed to delete the blob. This is not permitted. This action is not permitted. But once you're here, you can generate an SAS key. So if we generate the token and the URL, it creates a temporary token and URL that it could be given to the investigators. And then the investigators can just go ahead and once you put the link in the browser, you can see that it starts downloading the file. Okay, so that's a way that you can then give the files to the investigators. The same, if we take a look at the SOC key vault, you can see here that we have the hash values for all of those in the secrets tab. We have the hash values for all of those snapshots. So if we click in one of these ones, we can just click here, show secret, and then you can see that this is the hash value for that particular snapshot. Okay. So yeah, that's pretty much the lab. This concludes this lab where we went over the chain of custody process in Azure, how to create the snapshots from the VM, how to do the acquisition in a way that that it protects the evidence from being tampered with. And I hope you found it interesting and enjoyable. And I will be uploading the script. If you have any questions, please let us know. Thank you.